Hey everyone, you are watching the Quality Time virtual comedy show in partnership with myself, Stacey, Comedic Pursuits, and Capital Cider House. I am so excited to welcome four extremely talented stand-ups to this show. They are so funny, they are amazing. I know you're going to love them. So I'm just gonna kick it off and get the ball rolling. So please give a very warm welcome to Lauren Smith.
Hey guys, I'm gonna ask you a favor. Unmute yourselves and laugh at my jokes. I will laugh at yours. How's that? It's the comedy version of playing doctor. And I gotta tell you guys, I've been quarantining alone, so that's kind of exciting. Doctor, patient, schoolgirl, principal. I might even be open to a My Little Pony costume at this point. Yeah, this coronavirus stuff changes your lens, doesn't it? Like politics, for example. What is the difference between the cast of the 1993 movie Grumpy Old Men and the 2020 presidential candidates? The guys from Grumpy Old Men are way younger. They might live if they got this. And speaking of old, I am old. I just turned 50.
Woo!
Yeah, so today I got a solicitation from the AARP, an email from Globe Life Insurance entitled Death is Inevitable, and another one from Montezuma's Secret, Rock Hard Old Man Impregnates 50 Women. What's next? A call from the casket company? Probably. But here's the thing. Clearly, the internet does know my age, but does not know my gender, which is weird because I took the tape off the webcam weeks ago for all these Zoom meetings. Yeah, and 50, not what I thought it would be like. No. I thought that someone would love me by now. I thought I would have money. On the other hand, I thought I would be way uglier. See, you guys are young, but when I was growing up, the only woman over the age of 25 who was on TV was on a show called Three's Company. It was a character called Mrs. Roper. So I was expecting to have a full-on helmet hair and moo-moo by now. And I don't, which is good. I was also expecting to have Mr. Roper by now. And if you've ever seen the show, the fact that I don't is really good, because the last thing my self-esteem needs is some wormy little guy in a Hawaiian shirt who would rather spy on 20-year-old bimbos than be with me. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, this makes it clear from this set that I am achingly single. So if anyone wants to buy me a Metamucil after this set, Amazon will deliver it. Love in the time of coronavirus. But I have to say, this whole thing, it's a learning experience. And I've learned a lot about myself. Like, I use toilet paper extraordinarily slowly, which is good, because there will never be enough toilet paper or money or condoms again. But seriously, why do people need condoms from 6 feet away? I feel like people are getting their viruses confused. Safe sex, social distancing, tomato. Yeah, but you know, the social distancing and safe sex, there's a thing I kind of like about them. Not going near other people. Because let's face it, most people are not attractive. particularly in line at Trader Joe's, which is the only place I can go. Early enough for toilet paper is way too early to shower. Who am I kidding? Most of us haven't showered or changed clothes or even brushed our teeth in weeks. But we are all still way cleaner than the cast of Tiger King. And since Trader Joe's is the only place I can go, I've been cooking a lot. Caramelizing onions, way easier than I thought it would be. And nobody gets close enough to notice I smell. And since I can't get close to another person, even in a My Little Pony costume, I have been exploring Pornhub. The bad news, though, finding anything I like on Pornhub, way harder than I thought it would be. And not the good kind of hard. No. See, if you get onto Pornhub and search attractive couple doing whatever it is that you like, not asking won't judge, you will get a whole passel of videos back. And they will all feature a slender, gorgeous, full-breasted woman doing whatever it is that you like to do with a guy, with a gut, who looks like he hasn't showered or shaved or even brushed his teeth in weeks. That's right, guys. Pornhub is virtual Trader Joe's. And on that very cheery note, I'm handing it back to you, Stacey.
Woo!
All right, thank you so much, Lauren. Up next, very excited to welcome this performer. Please welcome to the stage, Pat Paulson.
Hey. Lauren, I'm sorry you're quarantining alone. I'm with my wife. She's being really mean to me though. So like earlier today, I got a nice new bandana, a gray bandana, and I put it on and she was like, oh, I was like, how do I look? And she's like, you look like you're trying to be a gangster and gangsters don't color coordinate. And I was like, well, I'm not trying to be a gangster. And also they do color coordinate. That's a big thing for them. It is. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I was talking with my parents recently, and it's kind of interesting. They have nothing to do, so they're like getting into like our ancestry. Have you guys taken one of these ancestry tests for 23andMe or whatever? No. My results were like totally non-surprising. I tried to ask for a discount even. They're like, why do you want a discount? I'm like, well, my name is Patrick. I mean, I narrowed it down. Like, I'm not gonna come back to me and just give me a discount. And they didn't. And it came back totally Irish, like what I thought it would be. And I kind of wanted a surprise, like a little, like 10% Dutch. Cool, I'll get some clogs. That's, but like, I didn't want a big surprise, like half Japanese. Oh, hey, Mom and Dad, are you guys sitting down? Because I got something. It's gonna be big. No, I took one of those tests, came back or whatever, and like, I don't really care. My family's really big into like being Irish. I think it's because they're like 8th generation. We have nothing else to like be into, like my dad he's super into this. Like he's like super into being Irish. He listens to that horrible racket that they call Irish music. It's terrible. Like that's how you prove that you really want to be Irish, is listen to shitty music and act like you like it. Like that's a trial of a century. And like he loves to drink whiskey, but he won't drink Bushmills because that's Protestant whiskey. Like he named me Patrick when he knew that Pat from SNL was like a big thing. Like he knew I was gonna get harassed because of that. He, like, still did that. I don't know. Yeah, like I looked up like my family crest, which you can look it up. If you look up Paulson family crest, it's nothing. It's a fake name. My real last name is Curtin. If you didn't know that. And it's not a boring name or anything. It's actually a pretty interesting Gaelic name. Comes from the Irish word for window covering, and it's got a lot of history behind it. It doesn't mean that. It's 100 times worse. Curtin means hunchback. Curtin means hunchback. And the story that runs in our family is that we were called the Hunchbacks because we were hunched over the books because we were important legal advisors to the king. Important legal advisors. Yeah. That's the family legend that runs in our family. But also what I know runs in our family is scoliosis. So what do you think really happened? Like, this guy's like advising the king or whatever, and he's like, oh, I love eating every day and learning how to read and like having shoes, but like, I think I'll go to America and dig ditches. Or do you think it was more of like an Angela's Ashes, like shitty Braveheart village situation, and this guy's walking down the one road in his town with a hunchback and made fun of, and like that's why he went? I think that's more likely. I don't know. That's Irish history 101. Yeah, I don't know. This is from the last one, but I'll say it again anyway. I think that we should be trying to do New Year's resolutions like for after the virus, Like, I feel like I already biffed all my New Year's resolutions from New Year's, so why not start them again? I'm trying to curse less. I'm trying to curse less. I am, because like I use it as punctuation. Like I don't mind if you curse to curse, but like I'll just be like, oh, I don't have to say it, so I'll say fucking. Like it's you shouldn't do that. And I'm not sure I can do it because when I was a kid, my dad tried not to curse around us, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and it led me to a weird place because like he didn't curse all the time. He only cursed when he got really mad, and so he would get really mad, forget that he wasn't supposed to curse, and then go back to fake curse words. So like one time I broke a window and he ran out of the house. He was like, "Son of a bitch! God damn it! Rats! And like he did that a few times. I started thinking like, this rats, that's a bad word. Like that's a bad word. And I changed schools when I was in 5th grade, and I went to school, and like the only kid that talked to me was kind of like the bad kid. And he's like, "Hey, do you know the F word?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "I can tell you an even worse word." And I'm like, "Okay, you're talking about rats? Come on now, I know. Screw those rats." All right, this is my time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pat. Up next, very excited to welcome Caitlin Blansett, everyone.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much, Stacey, for putting this on, and thanks to Capital Cider House as well. This is so great to still be able to do shows. It's such an odd format, so to anybody watching, like, I'm sorry if you don't like my jokes, but at the same time, like, what else are you gonna be doing? This is one of the few things that there is to do right now, so thanks for joining. You were talking about, Pat, finding the origin of your name, and funny enough, like an hour ago, I was looking up the origin of my own name, and my name's Irish too, it's Caitlin, but on the page it said this was a popular baby name in the 90s and the 2000s that is now no longer original or stylish, so a very fun thing to find out. I also found out my name means pure, which I get that, in the sense that I'm pretty pure. I'm a pure bitch. You know what I'm saying, guys? Huh? Okay, I got one. Thank you. Yeah, quarantine's been weird. I feel like I'm pretty well prepared for quarantine though. Like growing up in a white working class family in the Midwest, like there were a lot of things we did then that are applicable now. Like, watering down your milk to make it last longer, eating leftovers, blaming people of other races for your own problems. Like I learned all of this growing up. So it's been really great to be able to use it now. I didn't think at first that quarantine was going to be so bad, but very quickly, like, it got bad. It was like if you were to watch all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, like, back to back to back to back. Like, the first one, you're like, I could keep watching these, but by the second one, you're, like, looking for a melon baller to, like... I hate those movies. What else do I have? Oh, I've been trying to keep myself busy. I've been doing a lot of Duolingo, which sounds like it's a euphemism for eating a woman out, and if only it were. I've also been picking up some old hobbies, like I've started knitting again, I started baking again, I started screaming into the void, why God, why? So it's been nice to like get back to those things that make me, me. I have been trying to learn how to cook. been looking at some of my grandma's old recipes, and I've been doing pretty well. It turns out meth is not that hard. A lot of people are like doing their art again, and I get really jealous of people that are artists, right? Because I'm not very good at art. I've never been good at art. In fact, my dad told me that I could never be a true artist because I had never experienced true pain. But he didn't go to middle school with me, so I didn't wash my hand for 2 weeks because the guy I had a crush on touched it. So let's talk about pain. Let's see. In my in quarantine, I've been trying to rebrand. I used to go by Caitlin, but now I'm starting to go by Kate. There are a few noticeable differences. You know, Caitlin was nice. Kate's a bad bitch. You know, Caitlin would hold the door open for you, but Kate is taking care of herself. Okay. Used to fantasize about having sex with your dad, and Kate's still doing that actually. Part hasn't changed. Let's see. I've noticed some people are quarantined with their parents, and it's driving them crazy. I'm not. I miss my parents a lot. I love my parents. I feel like personality-wise, I turned out 50% like my dad and 50% like my mom, pretty even, which would be okay except they divorced because they can't stand each other's personalities. So like on my end, there's a lot of internal conflict. You know, like whenever I go to make a big decision, there's always the Jeff in me that says, be reasonable and rational. Then there's the Cindy in me that says, live your life, you individual. Then there's the me in me that says, it should not be this hard to order at an Applebee's. I obviously wrote that joke when we could still go to Applebee's. And I never thought that those would be the happy times. I don't know, it's hard for me to make decisions, you know. But I'm not making big decisions right now in my personal life, but I see a lot of other people my age are, you know, they're making these huge decisions. They're getting married, you know, they're getting pregnant, they're getting straight across bangs, you know, like these are things that are going to last for a long time, you know. Yeah, actually that's all I have. So put your scissors down, don't give yourself bangs, wash your hands, everybody stay safe. I'm Caitlin Blansett, or Kate now. I'm Kate.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate. And coming up next, very excited to welcome Noah Goldstein.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, it's good to be here. It's good to be. It's good to be. You can tell I'm getting a little scraggly, a little scruffy. I'm not shaving or cutting my hair this entire time, so people know how seriously I'm taking this. Like at the end of this, I want to look like one of those like prisoners of war they discover like 20 years after the war was over. I'm very fortunate I've been working during this. I've been doing a lot of meetings over Zoom. I don't know if you guys feel this way. Don't you hate it when someone just like reads directly off of a PowerPoint? Yeah, I hate it. Super sorry. I was in a rush, so I didn't get a chance to practice my jokes. I hope you guys don't mind if I just read from my paper directly. Okay. Comedy, April 19th. Parentheses, try to be funny, Noah. You can still bomb virtually. Joke 1, colon. They should create a video game for insomniacs and call it Need for Sleep. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. One more time for your roast. No, I have been writing some jokes. I have nothing else to do. I'm here by myself. I'm quarantining alone. It's gotten pretty lonely. I've gotten so bored that I'll like call sex hotlines. Not because I'm horny, but just because I really want someone to talk to. They'll be like, "Are you a dirty boy?" And I'll be like, "No, I'm just like really lonely and I need someone to talk to." And they're like, "What are you wearing right now?" And I'm like, "Sweatpants." I don't know. I've been wearing the same pair for the last 3 weeks. Maybe I am a dirty boy. I don't know. This is a tough time for people with vices. And one of my biggest vices, I like to bet sports. I'm a bit of a gambler. It's tough. There's no sports to bet on. I've had to like look elsewhere. I went for a run the other day. I passed a church. There's a big sign on the church. It said, "The coronavirus can't beat God." So I called my bookie and put $25 on God to cover. I've been trying to pick up some more wholesome hobbies as well. I've been baking. I baked bagels, a loaf of bread. The other week I made pierogies. If you're not familiar with pierogies, it's a Polish dish. In Polish, pierogi translates directly to dumpling. In Yiddish and Hebrew, the two Jewish languages, pierogi translates directly to "the Cossacks are coming." Join me next week when I define German food dishes like Das Wiener Schnitzel. That'll be fun. I have really enjoyed baking. This weird thing about baking, on the top of the bag of flour, there's this like warning label. It's like this really cutesy warning label. It says, "Warning: bake before sneaking a taste." Like anyone would like really want to go for a handful of flour. But when I started thinking about it, I think the flour industry is just like really jealous of how much press these other like really mundane industries are getting. Like no one ever talked about paint before high schoolers started like hushing it. The laundry detergent industry for years flew under the radar before like the Tide Pod Challenge. I think flour just kind of wants to get in the mix. Like I feel like it's just a matter of time before flour puts like a warning label on the top of their bags. It says like, please, whatever you do, don't snort this and put it on Instagram. Flour challenge. That's fun. Yeah, it's taking a lot of for all of us. I would assume it's taking a lot of getting used to. You know, being remote. Religion is one thing that's just it's been hard for me to adjust to religion remotely. I don't know if you guys did anything for Easter or Passover. Virtually, I did a Seder virtually. Pretty disconcerting having to prove you're circumcised over Zoom. The rabbi out front, it's like a bouncer, he lets you in. That's fun. That's a very wholesome joke. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Not much of a conspiracy theorist. But it does seem like some businesses are like really, really profiting off of the coronavirus, and that kind of troubles me. Two that come to mind: big soap and big beans. Big bean, the big bean industry is back in the news. There was an article about beans in the New York Times. They quoted a bean salesman at a local farmer's market. He said, for the longest time, he was, quote, the most lonely booth. And now people can't get enough beans. I feel like coronavirus is gonna like really, really impact wealth distribution, like who's wealthy, but like not in the way you traditionally think. Like I think like private islands at Ibiza, after this is over, it's gonna be like creepy Hollywood execs, like bankers, and like the CEO of Goya, like all chilling on their yachts. Big bean joke. What else is new? Everyone's been talking about the Tiger King. I'm not gonna do a Tiger King joke. I'm just not creative enough to come up with something original. Like anything I'd read about the Tiger King would be inevitably hacky, and I'm not a hack. I'm not a hack. But I will say I do all of my online dating while I'm eating airplane food, but not a hack. Okay, not a hack. I will say one thing about Tiger King. Just one thing. I don't know if you guys saw the White House pandemic briefing where one of the reporters asked the president if he was going to pardon Joe Exotic. Like, are you serious? Like, that's really not the most important question you could have asked at that point during a pandemic briefing with the president. That's like the equivalent of if your wife was going into labor and you asked her about like the last scene from The Sopranos. Okay, you're like, babe, what do we think? Is Tony still alive? Okay, thank you very much. I've been Noah Goldstein.
Thank you so much, Noah. At this point, I am going to do a little comedy. One thing I've been thinking about is recently. I've just been kind of thinking about a lot of the things I used to do as a kid and how I've been seeing like a resurgence of those behaviors like over the past month. So I was always like, and as an adult, I'm a pretty anxious, fearful person, but as a kid, it was even more so. Like I was always that kid in class who was like scared of almost everything. And just to give you like a baseline, my first word, the first word I ever said in my life was uh-oh. So I was pretty off the gate, pretty scared of everything. Something as a kid that I really wanted though was an animal friend. So what is that? It's not a pet per se. This was something that in a lot of Disney movies that came out, the protagonists would have an animal friend. And even when you watch Pixar movies today, there's typically like that animal friend who replaces a human companion and will travel with the main protagonist. And in 4th grade, that kind of came to life for me when I convinced my whole class that a dove was following me home from school every day and was living in a tree outside my house. And I said this story, I guess, with such conviction, the entire class really thought that this dove was following me home every day. And then one day, the dove passed away, and we all came to class in the morning and saw it. And that was really sad. And I bring that up to say, ever since then, I really have not liked birds. And I know, like, that bird didn't purposely, like, do me wrong and, like, just died. Like it's a bird, it was in nature, it died. But I've always hated birds, and I've noticed that like not only do I not like birds now, I'm actually afraid of them. Like birds are pretty ruthless. So I haven't really been leaving the apartment. Once a week I'll go for a walk around my neighborhood. But I have a little balcony, and I'm living with a roommate, and my roommate set up an herb garden outside on the balcony. So she's growing her own herbs. And the other day I noticed like 2 birds were on my balcony, like kind of pecking at the herbs. So I like opened the door to my balcony and I was like, hey, birds. And I like tried to shoo them away, and they got like angry and kind of like flew at me a little bit. And I was like, like birds are impossible to defend yourself from, because like you don't know where they're coming at. Like it's one of those things where I've seen the movie The Birds that Alfred Hitchcock made, and a lot of people are like, oh, that movie's scary because he took something that's normally not scary and made them scary. And I'm like, no, like birds are just naturally scary. Like over the years, people have tried to make birds less scary. Like maybe you've heard this, like my grandma used to say this to me, but she's like, if a bird poops on you, it's good luck. And a lot of old people say this like phrase. I think they're like trying to make it so like we're not scared of birds. We think they're like these nice woodland creatures, but like no, like birds are awful. So 2 days ago, I was taking my weekly walk around the neighborhood, and there is like this really large dove kind of like sitting on the sidewalk. And I was like, that looks like my dove friend that I had like all those years ago. And I was like, and I know logically it wasn't that, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, hi, bird. And it like charged at me a little bit. And I was like, bird, stop. Like, and this bird was large. Like, I don't know what was going on, but clearly, I don't know. I'm just not good with animals, I guess. But I have been getting scared recently. There's a lot of people like, you know, those people who will ask you to watch scary movies with them, and then they're like, oh no, like I prefer watching something else. Like, why don't we watch like a comedy movie? And they're like, oh, you're such a baby. Like, I'm gonna say this, I like scary movies now and again, but that's just not like something I wake up every day and I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do today? Watch a scary movie. Like, no one ever, you don't end the day by wishing someone unpleasant dreams. Like, it's so weird to me that people like really like scary movies. Like, and there are some like really gory movies. I'm like I love a good thriller that actually has a plot, but like a slasher film, no, like not for me. But I don't know. I think people who really like scary movies are also those same people who like to like dish it out, but they can't take it. Like they love like watching a movie, but they would never like get into a high-speed chase or like jump out an airplane because like they could handle real fear. That's my working theory. I don't know. As a kid, I like really experienced my share of like that phrase like, oh, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. That's what they used to say like bullies in school. I was never the most popular kid. Surprise! No, it's not probably a surprise, but I really wasn't. I was a pretty unpopular kid growing up. And so you think that bullies would really would target me, and I think they did eventually. But I really exemplified like, you know, if you ignore them, they'll go away. But I took it even more so. So I'm a pretty self-deprecating person, and even as a kid, I was. So when a bully would insult me, like I would get a question wrong in class and they'd be like, oh, you're such an idiot, Stacey. I would turn to them and I'd be like, you're so right, Christian. I am an idiot. If only I was smart like you. Let's be friends. And I would like kind of freak them out. And in a way, I think I was using some reverse psychology. I don't even know. Anyway, they didn't bother me after that. So that's a good. This has been an interesting time, though. I feel like I've only gotten a little bit more fearful, a little bit more anxious. So the other day on Google, I was like, how do I feel happy? And then it reminded me of something, some advice that I really took to heart as a kid, and I'll always come back to. It's from Legally Blonde, one of my favorite movies. And there's a line in Legally Blonde where Elle Woods, who's like my hero, she says, endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands, they just don't. And I was like, all right, endorphins. Like, I need some endorphins. I want to feel happy. So I Googled how to get endorphins. And that answer is exercise. I'm going to be honest, I've never voluntarily exercised before. I've done like gym class and stuff like that where you had to exercise, but I've not really ever gone out on my own volition to exercise. And I never thought I would be here advocating for exercise, but everyone, endorphins are real. You feel good doing exercise. So keep that in mind, everyone, as the weeks go on. Everyone, at this time, I want to thank all of the comics that you have seen today. We had a wonderful lineup. We saw Lauren Smith, Pat Paulson, Kate Blansett, and Noah Goldstein. And I'm Stacey Axler. I want to thank our co-hosts for this. We are partnering with Comedic Pursuits, the blog that features comedy in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, all local comedy, so you can check them out online. We're also partnering with Capital Cider House. We have a show with Capital Cider House on the first and third Sunday of every month, and another one coming, so keep up with information about that. Capital Cider House is open right now. They have a lot of things going on. They do cider deliveries. They also have food. They also have gift cards, so you can check them all out online. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon. Good night.